All right, in this video, we're going to look at the different operations we can do with polynomials. Now, the first and most simplest operation we could do is adding two polynomials. And to do that, we're just going to start by grouping like terms and then combining like terms. And when we're adding and combining like terms, the exponents don't change the exponents. I just want to make sure that you're writing it in standard form. So we're going to look at this first and third one together, and I'm going to have you try the middle one on your own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by listing them out, like I said, in order. Looking at these two sets, I'm going to start with my cubics. So I have a 6x cubed, and then I have a 2x cubed. Now notice what I just did there. I crossed out the 2x cubed because I just wrote it down. I like to do that because then, as you see, that there's a lot of terms that we're working with, and I would hate to miss and overlook one of them. And if I do, I want to be able to catch it. So that's why I like to cross them out as I write them down. All right, let's look at my next term. My next term would be my squares. So we would have x squared, and then the other set, I have a minus x squared. Then would come my plain old x's. I have just the 4x here. There's no other plain old x's. And then I can see I have minus 7 plus 3 left over. So the next step is to combine like terms. Now what I just did there is I just underlined my like terms because that just helps me identify what I'm going to group together. Because when my eyes go over this from left to right, you see that there's a lot of things, and sometimes if you need to simplify it for yourself, just underline the like terms because that just makes this next step super simple. So now we just combine those. So 6x cubed plus 2x cubed, that'd be 8x cubed. Now I'm actually going to wait for the sign because x squared minus 8x squared would be minus 7x squared. And we'd have plus 4x, and negative 7 plus 3 would be negative 4. There's your answer. So it's important to have it in standard form when we have just a single variable. Now notice what I said there with just a single variable, because let's look at this last one. When we have more than one variable, we don't have to worry about having it in any particular order, because it can get kind of confusing, but we're going to still use the same process. Now, when we do have a single term with more than one variable, I always put those variables in order of alphabetical order. Okay, so if one of these had been switched around, like let's say if this had been b squared a, I'd want to rewrite it as ab squared. Okay, so just make sure you do that because I won't trick you on that, but Savas, your homework assignment will oftentimes do that, so just make sure that you catch that so you can figure out why you might get an answer wrong on your first attempt. All right, so let's start by writing these down and grouping together by like terms. So I'm going to start with a 2a squared b squared. I look for any other a squared b squares, and we have another one there, so it'll be plus 3 a squared b squared. I don't have any other a squared b squared, so I'll go to this next one, plus 3ab squared. Look for any more that have a's to the first power and then b squareds. We have one right here. Now that's a minus 2ab squared. And I'm left with my constants, minus 9 plus 8. So again, if I group these together by like terms, 2 plus 3 is 5. So the exponents stay the same. Remember, we do not do anything with the exponents. Those stay the same. So 2 plus 3 is 5, so we'd have 5a squared b squared. And the next term, 3 minus 2 is 1, so we'd have plus 1ab squared, or you can just say plus ab squared. And then negative 9 plus 8 is negative 1. So there's my like terms. So that'd be your answer. Again, we could have that technically in any order since we have the a and b's together there. All right, but this just has a single variable, so I want you guys to go ahead and try this one completely on your own. So pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answer. Hopefully you found that easy enough and got 10a cubed minus 14a squared plus a plus 6. If you didn't get that, pause the video and look at my work and your work and find your mistake. All right, let's move to the next operation. Now this one, it's really important. So underline, highlight, star. Anytime we're subtracting, we need to distribute the subtraction as a negative 1. And then if you look at the rest of the steps, group like terms, combine like terms, don't change exponents, the rest of it is just like adding. So the only difference here when we're subtracting, we want to start by distributing the subtraction and treat it as a negative 1. So what do we mean by that? So for this one, we have this negative. I'm going to distribute that negative. Now the first set stays the same, so I'm not going to bother rewriting it, but I'm just going to distribute the negative here through. So it'll be negative 2x cubed, so that become a positive 8x squared now, and then this will become a minus 3. Okay, so we're done with distributing that negative through. So I'm just going to do the next step, just like we did on the previous one. So what we're going to do is we are going to start with the 6x cubed. Then we have the minus 2x cubed. Then go to the squared terms. We have plus 8x squared and plus x squared. It doesn't matter what order you put those in. And then we have plus 4x. There's no other x's, but then we have minus 7, minus 3. All right, so now if I look at my like terms, my answer is 6x cubed minus 2x cubed. That's 4, so it'll be 4x cubed. Remember the exponents we leave alone. 8x squared plus 1x squared, that'd be plus 9x squared. Plus 4x, and negative 7 minus 3 is negative 10. So you get 4x cubed plus 9x squared plus 4x minus 10. All right, I want you guys to try the next two. Now the next one is very similar to the one we just did, where you just distribute the negative. And then you're also going to distribute the negative on this one, but I want you to practice where here you have more than one variable. So go ahead and try these next two completely on your own. So pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answers. Right, check your answers. So first off, you should have gotten for this one, negative 2a cubed plus 2a squared plus a minus 4. If you didn't get that, pause the video again and compare your work to mine to find where your mistake is. For this one, you should have gotten negative a squared b squared plus 5ab squared minus 17. Again, if you didn't get that as your answer, pause the video, compare your work with mine, and find your mistakes. All right, let's end by looking at how to multiply. Now, when it says we're going to multiply using the distributive property, we could also use the box method. That's what I'm going to use. And remember, we multiply coefficients and we add exponents here. So when you multiply like x squared times, let's say 2x squared times 3x, we would multiply the coefficient, so 2 times 3 would be 6, and we add the exponent, so 2 plus 1 would be 3. So 2x squared times 3x would be 6x cubed if you're multiplying something like that. Group together like terms, then combine like terms, and make sure you write it in standard form. All right, so again, I'm going to show you how to do this with the box method. What do I mean by that? Well, we've used the box method before, but it's usually been just 2 terms times 2 terms. Well, here we're going to have 2 terms times 3 terms. So I'll have 2m plus 5, set that on one side, and then we would have 3m squared minus 4m plus 2. All right, so when you multiply these together, so again, we multiply the coefficients, 3 times 2 is 6, and with the variables, we add the exponents, so 1 plus 2 would be 3. Go to the next one, we'd have negative 8, 2 times negative 4 is negative 8, and m to the first times m to the first would be m squared. Then this would be just 4m. The bottom row, this is going to be easy. We multiply everything by 5, so we'd have 15m squared minus 20m and plus 10. Now, the reason why I like doing it this way is your diagonals will usually be your like terms. Okay, so here that's the case, where our diagonals are the like terms. And so our answer, when we write this in standard form, we're going to combine like terms. We'd have 6m cubed. And then 15 minus 8 is 7, so we'd have plus 7m squared. And negative 20 plus 4 would be negative 16, so it'd be minus 16m and plus 10. So that would be your answer in standard form. All right, I'm going to have you guys try this one on your own. Do not go on beyond that one, so go ahead and try this one. And so pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answer. All right, let's see how you did. So you should have gotten 6n to the 4th plus 6n cubed plus 11n squared minus 7n minus 21. And if you didn't get that, check your work. Now I'm guessing that maybe you had a hard time. If you did have a hard time, the diagonals in this case were not like terms. So again, you got to make sure that diagonals are like terms. Usually it'll be the case, but not necessarily always. In this case, the only like terms we have are the negative 7n squared and 18n squared. So other than those two, everything else stays the same. But those two you would combine to be 11n squared. Now, what if we have 3 terms multiplied by each other? Now, I'm going to change this one. I don't like this one that they have here. So we're going to use this polynomial that I just threw up here. So it's going to be 2x minus 5 times 2x plus 5 times 2y minus 3x. So we are going to have multiple variables here. And we also have 3 sets of factors. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by multiplying any 2 of the sets together first. Now I notice that these 2 are conjugates. So that's going to help me out. That's actually going to make things a little bit easier. I'll show you why. So let's start by multiplying those 2 together. So these are 2 terms times another 2 terms. So we have 2x minus 5 and 2x plus 5. So we multiply those together. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. This will be 10x. Now negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x. And negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. Negative 10x and a positive 10x would cancel each other out, because those are opposites of each other. Those would add up to be 0. So that would leave us with 4x squared minus 25 is what those multiply together. And now we have 2y minus 3x. We're going to multiply those together. So I'm going to do that over here. So this time we have, again, 2 terms to multiply by each other. So we have 4x squared minus 25 and 2y minus 3x. All right, so we multiply these together. 4 times 2 is 8. And then we have x squared y. Remember, if we have multiple variables, put them in order or alphabetical order. So we put the x first, so it'll be x squared, then the y. But it's only the x that's being squared, not the y. So the y would stay to the first power. All right, so the next term we'd have minus 12. And then here they have the same bases. We add the exponents. The only time you add the exponents are when the bases are the same. So x squared times x, we would add that x to the first to the x squared. Add those 2 together, we get x cubed. All right, the bottom row, negative 25 times 2 would be negative 50y. And then here we're going to have negative 25 times negative 3 would be a positive 75x. All right, now when we look at this, the diagonals, there are no like terms here. So your answer would just be 8x squared y minus 12x cubed minus 50y plus 75x. And again, it does not matter what order we put those in. We could have this in any order and it would be correct. But that would be your answer. So as long as we have each of these terms represented, 8x squared y minus 12x cubed minus 50y plus 75x. So that's it. So those are the different operations we can do with polynomials. But by the way, before I stop this video, I just want to point out that one mistake that people make is after seeing this multiplying by polynomials, when they see a problem like this one that we had or this one that we had originally, let me erase what we crossed out. If there's a sign in between the parentheses, we want to make sure that we don't multiply. So here we would subtract, here we would add. But if we have 2 polynomials that are butted right up next to each other where there's no sign in between, that's the only time we multiply. So it's important that you remember that and recognize that. All right, so now good luck as you work on your assignment.